everyone. It is such a pleasure and honor for me to be able to meet all of you here on Zoom. And now we are at the tail end of the year. And I hope that this session, the last session we are having for this year, will be useful for you so that you can bring it all over into next year. Wow, it sounds very long bringing it into next year. So again, welcome to this session.
Did you send us all a memo to wear black today? Because all of us are wearing black.
I noticed that. I noticed that. So we have Harvey there and Tessie and Sarah wearing black. And I've got my old school crest over here.
Yeah, we all got the memo.
Okay, so welcome to this session on in-depth probing conversation, the meta-states model. Let me just share the screen in order to help you follow. Yes, I've got the screen there for you. And this session is part of our monthly meta coaching series that we organize under the Institute of Neuro-Semantics, Malaysia. We have the Neuro-Semantics series, we have the leadership series, then we have the meta coaching system series. And once in a while, if the schedule is allows us to do, we have the one on parenting series. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, I'm Mazuki. I'm a neuro-semantics trainer and meta coach. I help people to systematically develop skills in leading, communicating, and coaching to bring out the best in yourself and others. In the 60 or 90 minutes together, we'll be discussing one, how to explore into the human depths. Then next point is on deepening the level of disclosure. And the third point is going deep by coaching to the client's meta states. And we'll end up with a simple example of why we need to go deeper. An example from a made-up scenario, how a person from young develop meta structures that can bring himself into the future with unresourceful meta states. And that is why we need to go in deeper when we coach. Now, this topic is based on a chapter from the book, The Meta Coaching System by Dr. Michael Hall. As usual, I will pause for discussion after a couple of points in order to give you the opportunity to ask questions, to comment, and additional contributions. And many of you here, you are coaches as well. So you're sharing your experience and in the context of deepening conversation will be highly appreciated. I really appreciate that. Another warning is that my style is to be light and humorous. So if I laugh or smile, I'm never laughing at you, but at our silly human qualities. My purpose is to lighten things up, reduce being serious, and be more real. So let's begin with the introduction to this topic. What is coaching? It is first of all a high quality conversation, and yet it is more. It is also an in-depth probing communication. That's because the coaching conversation differs significantly with the shallow surface conversations that we normally have with each other. Coaching goes deeper, much deeper. It probes to get to the heart of things in the mind and experience of the client. Many who enter the field of coaching fail to deepen the conversation. Some have simply not learned or been trained in how to do this. The bottom line is that they do not know how to deepen a coaching conversation. As a result, the coaching conversation stays shallow and superficial. It's a nice chat, yet That's all it is, a nice chat. Because of this, it lacks the power to take the client deep inside to his matrix and to get to the heart of things. It is therefore incapable of exposing the frames within her matrix that generates limitations. So what's a coach to do? How does a coach learn to have a deep conversation that gets to the heart of things? In the meta coaching system, we enable a deep conversation by using the two models, the meta state model and the matrix model. So these are the two models that we use in order to deepen the conversation. With these models, coaches learn to ask meta questions, matrix questions, to enter into the matrix, to hold frames and open up belief systems, and to expose blind spots. The next point that we are discussing is going into the human depths. When we say that most conversations stay on the surface, we are speaking about the level of disclosure and intimacy of the conversation. In this regard, it is possible to recognize the client's level of disclosure and then to match that level. Matching the level of a client's disclosure validates the client, makes the disclosure feel safe, and this encourages him to move to an even deeper level of disclosure. To effectively listen and support, discern the level that the client is disclosing and match it by acknowledging that disclosure. This will enable you to create a fierce conversation that gets to the heart of things. Because there are levels of disclosure, we can generally only go as deep with the client as we support the person in the process of going there. I'll just repeat that. We can generally only go as deep with a client as we support the person. So that part of supporting is key, building that rapport. So let's take a look at the levels of disclosure. The surface level is cliches. That's at the very top. So we disclose this with strangers, acquaintances. So these are all surface comments. How's the weather today? That's a common question at this level, meeting people. How are you doing? Are you okay? So this is at this surface level. The next level is when we disclose impersonal facts. These are with task-oriented relations and associates. So these are facts about self or one's world. Things like, my name is Mazuki and my work is in the area of training and coaching. So these are facts about me, and yet it is still at the impersonal level because we are disclosing it to people who are related to us at the level of performing tasks, associates. Next level is the level of personal facts. Now we are communicating with friends, closer associates. So we are going into facts about ourselves and the world that we are in, the matrix of the world that we are in. Next level is the level of meanings. So this disclosure is when we are with close friends. So what we are disclosing here are our thoughts, our values, our beliefs, the inner ways of organizing reality. So, for example, if between close friends, then I will probably talk to them about my political opinions, because now it is more personal. But Not with close friends, I will not disclose that, because those are values and beliefs. And with friends, especially friends from old schools, we can antagonize each other happily. So that level of disclosure is okay with people who are close to us. Next level of disclosure is about emotions. So now we are operating or connecting with friends who are intimate. Now we are disclosing more to this. In intimate friends or lovers, what we are disclosing is about feelings about things, angers, fears, our emotion, family, loves, joys, hope. So now we are going disclosing our emotions to these people. And these are people at a closer level. Next level is when we begin to disclose needs. So needs, we disclose them to our best friends, to lovers. These people are very close to us, and we mean much to each other. So what we are disclosing are the inner motives, the motivations, the drives, the deficiencies that we may experience, the inadequacies. So now we are talking about what's driving us, what's holding us back, and we are not holding back anything. So these are people who are in the closest circle to us. Then the next level is the dark side. I wonder if any one of you have a dark side. I do. Now, the dark side, we disclose these to a confidant or therapist. So these are about our taboos and prohibitions and emotions that we are not comfortable about. So those are the levels of disclosures. So when we are in rapport with someone, then we are able to go in deeper and deeper disclosure. So when we talk about in-depth probing, as we go in deeper levels, we need to be in a deeper level of rapport with another person. So you notice from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, going right down to level 7, the degree of rapport needs to be much deeper than that. So as a coach, we can only bring the client to a depth that is relevant to the degree of rapport. So that's why as a coach needs to build that rapport in order to bring that conversation to a much deeper level. Okay, so what I will also mention over here, coming to this next point of deepening the level of disclosure. Deepening the conversation begins with a relationship of trust and rapport. I'll just repeat that. I mentioned this earlier. It is about trust and rapport. When there is the lack of deep disclosure, generally there is the lack of safety. You want to create that safety. So if there is a lack of deep disclosure, then there is a lack of safety in the client. And because of that, there is not a crucible space. So sometimes a coach may even make a disclosure of herself in order to create the space and to invite disclosure. So we cannot push a client to the space where we want them to go. For example, we want to bring them right down to the level 5 or 6 in the level of disclosure. We cannot push them, however, we can pull them. So we go in to disclose, to allow them to be open. When leading out by going first, go to the next level to invite the client to that next deeper level. Disclose only one level at a time. If you jump in too fast, it will feel inappropriate and or maybe violate the client's sense of trust. Some people need permission for delving into the deepest levels. So check the client's meanings about disclosing and support them by reframing the meanings which prevent them from going deeper. Going deeper involves getting more and more real with ourselves and others. It means confronting our humanity, mortality, and fallibility. This is the call for authenticity. So being a coach is not about bringing the client to the space where they are open and ready to disclose. We need to lead them there by us being open and ready to disclose. So as I was mentioning, I can't remember whether it was this morning or just now, that as a coach, we need to be in the state of being coachable in order to coach someone to bring them to that level. Otherwise, we are not able to probe in deeper, because if the client is detecting that we are holding back, not disclosing, that will also affect the client to not want to disclose. So probing done from the state of trust and rapport becomes a conversation. However, there is no trust and rapport, then it becomes an interrogation. And nobody likes to be interrogated. So let me just pause there and let me hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? So go ahead.
Marzuki, I would love to have an example of when you say reframing the client's meanings for going deeper and to become more authentic.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So part of what we covered in one of these sessions, now I can't remember, but it was this year, we talk about the infinite value meaning. So whatever it is out there, the meaning is in the person. We are the one who's putting meaning. So when the client puts a meaning, a certain meaning about disclosure that holds them back, so that demonstrates to us there is that lack of trust, there is that lack of rapport. So it is up to us as the coach to be able to reframe that meaning. The client might have a meaning of the conversation is about to catch me, is about to get me to admit my mistakes. However, as the coach, to be able, when we begin to start disclosing part of our experiences, that gives us an opening to give to develop additional meanings from there. I have been using this this example whereby I'm on the ISNS leadership team of writers. So we write every 3 months or so. One of us will be writing something, and when I write, I not only write in order to express certain ideas, but the secondary benefit is that Michael is there to read the article and to give me feedback. And I look forward to Michael's feedback every time I write, because from his feedback, I know exactly where I can improve in my writing. So you can also use that kind of meaning to a client, that whenever that they have something going on and they disclose it to the coach can give them certain feedback that allows them to develop and grow. So coaching, sharing, disclosing is about getting feedback that allows me to grow. So that's one meaning dimension that we can bring to a client. So they begin thinking, oh, that's it. Even though I have made some mistakes, but I'm able to get feedback that allows me to grow. So that additional frame might prompt a client to be more open in a coaching conversation. Does that help, Tessie? So it's about opening up new meanings.
How do you build trust in one session? Because you have, let's say that you get engaged for 6 months and you meet the client once a month. So on the one hand, you have HR, checking on the relationship. So what's been happening? And then you're talking about building trust, rapport, safety. Session 1, session 2, session 3. What's your suggestion?
Thank you. I'm also doing that form of coaching whereby I have 2 clients, one the client in front of me, the other is the client who pays the bill.
Yeah.
So upfront, I would say to both parties, even separate. However, what I say is that with respect to the client that pays the bill, my report to you is about the process, not the content. Because the content is confidential between me and the person. So they need to know that. So I can give them the content, the process of what you call, you can say it as the topics for discussion, but what's happening inside those topics, those are private between me and the client. Yeah. So, for example, I will just tell the paymaster that we are scheduled to meet this month in December. We are originally we are scheduled to meet in the first week. However, my client's busy schedule caused us to postpone it twice already. So instead of the first week, we met in the 3rd week of December. And that's it. What goes inside there is private between me and the client. So, however, the expectation from the paying client, I will bring
more concerned over the building of safety with the client, not the management.
Not the management. Not the management.
So here's the scenario: you have an executive to coach, and he comes from a culture where it's not safe. Okay, and his development area or her development area is you need to become a leader. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
And then like he's got or she's got that management breathing down their necks.
Yes.
And then you've got to coach them. And then at the same time, you've got to create this environment of safety and build rapport and trust.
Yes.
Quick, because this person is under pressure from their bosses.
Yeah.
To deliver results.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's your strategy for building that trust with that coachee?
Yeah. So the communication that I will bring to the client is that I am here to support you to achieve your goals. Yeah. And whatever that we discuss is not for management to know. However, as I was mentioning earlier, the expectation of the management, when they reveal that to me, I will bring it to the client and allow the client to work around it. And I continue to reassure the client that I am here rooting for your success. So you are my client. They are the one who's paying the fees, but they have no access to whatever that we discuss over here. So that gives them the confidence and the trust in order to share.
Yeah. From my experience, it just takes a while.
It does. It does.
Sometimes two sessions, 3 sessions. Mm.
Yeah, depends. My experience with the client that I'm having right now is that even before engagement, the client was presented with an option of coaches. So the client chose me to be his coach, and because of that, we are able to go in much faster because it is his choice. Now, Javi, yeah, go ahead. You raise your hand.
Yeah, I find the question of Tessie very interesting and relevant. Depending on the situation, what I do, because I do have clients that have paymasters, as what
Yes.
Robert Zucchi would say, and some of the clients are captive audience, or I mean, they cannot escape. They have to go through the session. I'm handling medical students. They're with me for 5 years,
Oh.
so they are part of the requirement of their education.
Wow.
So we create a condition. The only condition that we're going to share is that if it's a matter of life and death situation, which is very critical for high stress, high intensity situation where people tend to spiral down. So I would, of course, we have to protect first their confidentiality. However, when I experience them moving to the depressed and to suicidal rate of thinking, then I would have already the permission from the client that I have to bring this up to the authorities. Yeah. So I've experienced that once. After I've created a certain calibration, I mean, from 0 to 10, where are you now in terms of energy? And he would say -2. So I would say, oh, I would explore what's that -2, and as what Marzuki would explain, the dark side comes out. Because when you're in a group situation, he's smiling as if nothing's wrong with him. And when I talk to him personally, he would really share the dark side of suicidal tendencies and difficulties that he has with his family and something like that. It causes him to. So that was the moment that I would reveal to the authorities, which is the school, that this person is in critical situation and life and death. So that's the only way I would share to authorities, not all the important things that the client has. So it has helped the client as well.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Thank you for that. Anyone else has got any thing to add to that? Yes, Gilo. Gilo or Gilo again?
Anything Jello will do.
Jello.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, Jello.
What's different on the coaching side that we have in our organization? It's purely confidential. Even though we have a paymaster, we have a sponsor on that program, the directors. It's really, they don't care about what's going to be the topic or the nitty-gritty of the conversation. So I guess in order to get the trust at a glance on a first session, is that we set the framing, or we set the objectives of that conversation. Like for example, first thing is, coaching in the Philippines is not that, they're not that open, and even some of the employees in the workplace. So first we need to define what is coaching. It depends on the objective, why we're doing coaching. It can be a performance based, it could be for their self-development, it could be in order for them to be on the any point of direction that they want to be. And if we clearly define what is this coaching session that we're doing for them, that's the time that they can ask questions. Questions that I receive back then is this confidential? How frequent is this sessions that's going to happen? But by those questions, we are capturing their interest. Like for example, when it comes to frequency, we will not impose to them that it should happen weekly, because again, maybe the executives or these people, they have their own pacing when it comes to coaching sessions. So we can ask them, how frequent do you want to meet? I always use the word, I'll always make time for you, because it's creating that space and environment that is safe and at the own pacing of the coachee. And In our organization, if they hear the word it's confidential, I can see that their pupils or their eyes are getting bigger because coaching sessions are like, helping them, not really, not just by helping them. It's, that 30 minutes, it's allowing them to think for themselves, not for not for the metrics that they have, not for the leaders that they are pleasing every day, but on that 30 minutes or 1 hour of coaching, trying to think for themselves. So it's very important to first clearly define what is coaching, what's in it for them. And if it's clearly defined, that's the time that we can get the trust. And if there are any expectations that's beyond the coaching that we're doing, that's the time that we can set frames. What's more important is we set the objective, what are the expectations, and we work hand in hand in order for us to reach the goal or whatever that we want to achieve on that coaching session. That's it.
Thank you. So what I am listening from Jello is that it's all about the frames. So that's why in what I call in the meta coaching framework, we have a list of almost 20 items that we bring up as frames for the first meeting. So just to go through the frames itself takes quite some time. However, going through those frames put the client in the right frame of mind in order to be coached. So thank you for bringing that one up. Now let's move to the next couple of points. Now moving to now moving to the point on going deep by coaching. Going deep by coaching to the client's meta state. So now we are moving into the meta states model. The meta states model adds depth to coaching because it facilitates working with a unique human kind of consciousness. I'm referring to self-reflexive consciousness. The meta-stating process does this by enabling us to work effectively with our self-reflexivity. So how does this work? So in order to answer that question, what we are going to be discussing are the 4 elements that we need to realize when you are coaching. One is self-reflexive consciousness. The second one is meta states and the layering of states. The third one is meta stating as a process of meaning making. And the fourth point is on human psychologics. So let's take each of these points one by one. So the first one on self-reflexive consciousness. When a mind or consciousness is reflexive, this means that it can reflect on itself. It can, as it were, step back from itself and think about its previous state. So this is what we are referring to as self-reflexive consciousness. So self-reflexive consciousness refers to how consciousness has the ability, this skill, and this function of reflecting upon itself. The nature is self-reflexive. So we think, feel about something that's happening out there. We think, feel about that. So we are creating a meaning there. And the self-reflexivity is about stepping back and thinking, feeling about that previous layer and that previous layer. So this is what we are referring to as self-reflexive consciousness. So in order to explore the client's meta state, we need to first understand this self-reflexive consciousness, that we don't, when we think about something, we don't just remain there. We continue to think about that and think about that. So I think A about something, and then I begin to think about A, then I got B, and I begin to think about B, and I have C, and it just goes on and on. So that's the first element that we need to look into when we want to deepen our conversation. The next one is meta states and the layering of states. What we are referring to is a meta state is one state about another state. So one state about another state. To create a meta state, simply access and apply one state to another so that the second state qualifies the first. For example, bringing playfulness to your exploration. So the first state is exploration, then bringing playfulness to exploration to create playful exploration. Another example is to bring calmness to your anger. You are feeling angry about something, and then you bring calmness to your anger. So now you're creating calm anger. So a state about another state. The meta states that we create and experience as human beings are those layered, complex states. The process of meta stating describes how we layer one state upon another. Understanding these layers allow us to probe deeper and deeper through those layers. So some other examples of meta-stating are respectful listening, skeptical questioning, compassionate challenging, curious framing, shameful angering, guilting fear, fearful sadness. So these are examples of meta-stating. We are bringing one state to bear onto another state. So once we realize that meta-states is about a state, about another state, that helps us to explore deeper and deeper up the levels. The next one is the meta-stating process for meaning making. Yeah, so what I'm going to share with you are about 7 examples of what's happening when a person is in the process of meta-stating when meaning making. Now, one is that meta-stating is applying one state of mind, body, emotion to another mind, body, emotion. So you have the states of calm anger, courageous fear, lustful learning, playfully serious. So you are bringing in one mind, body, emotion onto another. Now, next one is meta-stating is bringing one state to bear upon another. Like wildly enthusiasm to planning, or applying enthusiasm to planning, or bringing fun to lovemaking. So, so you are bringing another meta state which originally was not there, and you apply it onto that particular state. Another feature of meta-stating is embedding or nesting one state within another. So this is an example in coaching. We bring in ruthless compassion. So our compassion is towards the client's agenda. We are ruthless towards the client's excuses. So this is what we are referring to, ruthless compassion. So when the client is bringing excuses, we are not going to accept those excuses because those excuses are preventing the client from achieving the goal. So our compassion is towards the client's goal, and we are ruthless towards the client's excuses. So there you are, ruthless compassion. So you are embedding or nesting one state within another. Another feature here is that meta-stating is taking a higher perspective and thinking about something else in terms of that higher frame. So the example is, the example here is generously forgiving. So forgiving is a state which is already a higher frame. Then we bringing up another higher frame on that to apply. So that's another feature. The next feature is metastating is relating one resourceful idea, understanding, knowledge, belief, feeling, physiology, or inspiration to another. So it's about taking one and applying it to another. So an example over here is being gloriously fallible. So the concept of being fallible, we are metastating it with glory, so that now we are open to our own fallibility, or fallibly confident. So we are confident in doing the things that we are doing. At the same time, we are accepting our fallibility even in our confidence of doing something. So that gives us that greater freedom. In the context of we are doing something, we are confident about our skill and competencies of doing it. At the same time, opening up the possibility that we may mess things up because we are fallible. So fallibly confident. So that's metastating that in that way. Another feature is that metastating is texturing one state with another. So the second or highest state qualifies the first, giving it a new feel. So examples that Michael is giving to us are like silence, or suspenseful silence, or painful silence, or ecstatic silence, or mischievous silence, and you can bring in whatever texture to that particular state that you want. Yeah. So these are the features of the metastating process for meaning making. So as we probe deeper into a client's model of the world, that allows us to follow. This is what we are referring to as following the energy of the client. The energy of the client is the one that is defining the agenda for the coach. So just to follow the meta levels. The fourth point when it comes to going deeper is understanding human psychologics. Something else happens in the metastating process. By means of the metastating process, each of us creates our own particular specialized version of our logics, which in turn govern how we reason. So we create the logics, the metastating process, meaning making, creating that logic, and that logical way of thinking now governs our reasoning process. So we are inventing our own psychology. What this now means in the context of coaching is that you can enable every client to become aware of his or her psychology by following their metastating process and mirroring it to them, letting them know that is how they are arranging their logical sequence and thereby governing the way that they are reasoning things. So how do we do that? We call attention to the person's psychologics which are governing his or her life. Then if he or she doesn't like their current psychologics, you can invite the person to create an internal psychology which will bring out that person's best. So these are the four elements that we need to define, to understand, because when we are exploring into the client's model of the world, exploring the meta levels and thereby going deeper and deeper, coaching them to the meta levels, that we need to understand the processes of self-reflexive consciousness, the meta-stating, the meta-states and the layering of states, meta-stating as a process of meaning-making and human psychologic. So when we follow their energies, notice how it is moving and to present it to the client. Okay, so I'm going to pause there to allow questions or comments that you may have. So go ahead. So any comments?
Mazuki, I'm in here.
Yes, Dr. Amin.
Mazuki, I'm trying to understand the logic. Please help me. My objective of this coaching is to go deeper into the conversation.
Yes.
I need to go deeper, correct? And you have given the 7 levels. Then I need to provide the infrastructure, the infra, which is the support, the repo, the trust. Now, where I'm a bit lost when you introduce the meta states. Is it the state induction you're after? Because I'm looking at coaching process, but I'm a bit lost when you present the meta states just now. Yeah. So if you can help me.
So what we are referring, thank you for that question first, Dr. Amin. What we are referring to when we talk about deeper into probing deeper into the client's model of the world, we are referring to the meta levels that they have created. Those are the depth. So to be able to understand the nature of meta levels, so that's why we go into self-reflexive consciousness. Just now we talk about the meta states and layering of states, the meta stating as a process of meaning making. So those are the processes that is happening in the client's model of the world that creates all of those meta levels. So to be able to notice the levels, because the higher level will govern the lower level. If we are not aware about levels, what we are seeing is that all of those come in one go. And the mistake that we can make is that we may think that each of them are equally important. No, the higher levels govern the lower levels. So that's why when we say deeper, we want to go in and tease out the meta structures.
Yeah, I understand. What I'm saying as a coach, I need to understand the meta states as a coach. I need those skills. But what I need to see, what I need from the coachee is my ability to induce the states for my purpose, for the conversation.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the coachee doesn't need to know all this.
Yeah.
But I must be trained and I must be skilled to be able to see the meta states, the highest one, the process. I must be able to see. So my job is basically to induce the states. Then I can see the movement. Because my objective is to go deeper into the conversation. Yeah. And as I said, I provide the support, the repo, and the trust.
Yes, that's
so
the process.
skill I must have is to induce the states.
Yes.
So that I can go deeper into the conversation.
Yes.
So the presentation that you did is beautiful for me to develop my skills. But that's why I'm a bit lost just now trying to follow you. But it was a good presentation. Don't get me wrong. In terms of knowledge, it's very good. Now, my second question is this, Mazuki. My second question is psychologics equals to beliefs. It is, when I listen to you, it sounds interesting. So I said, oh, psychologics equals to belief to me when I was listening to you. And if you move away from beliefs, then you introduce a new psychologic which has not transformed into beliefs yet. You follow me? Yeah. Beliefs itself is psychologics.
So from how I understand it, it is all beliefs up here.
Yes.
Yeah. So the psychologics that you are using are all your beliefs and your belief frames.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Okay, I may be wrong. Okay, I'm just gonna say my experience. So I coach CEOs at the C-suite. So they come with, what can you do for me? I know everything. I'm the leader of 2,000 people. So then I have to, number one, I have to build trust. And then they come from different cultures, which is quite boxy.
Okay.
So I say this relationship is built on authenticity and rapport. Are you willing to allow me to facilitate? Okay, so then I want a meta state, right? I want to induce state, right? So I want to know how they think and how they feel about something, right?
Okay.
How they think and how they feel about something. So that's the self-reflexivity, right?
Yes.
One level of the hierarchy, the basic level. Okay, because it's beliefs all the way up, right?
Yeah.
So the guy says to me, but Tessie, I don't have permission to feel. Because I'm asking a basic question. So how do you feel about that? Something that is obviously his stumbling block. Okay, like how do I build rapport with my staff? So I'm thinking, well, you've got to engage. Okay, you've got to get on the same side. How do you think and feel about that? But I have no permission to feel. He says, in our space, I cannot show that I'm feeling. I cannot show that I'm authentic because I'm expected to perform. So I'm saying, okay, this is my translation of ruthless compassion, right? So I'm saying, so you don't have permission to feel because. So I asked him, because. So that's my first base level of what do you believe about that, right? Asking it in a different way. I'm saying, so you don't have permission to feel because, and then he goes like, he's gone on an upper level, right? So he's thinking about what he's not able to feel.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, I'm afraid that I will be criticized, or I'm afraid that people will not respect me. And then what happens is my next level.
Yeah.
So then if people don't respect you, then complete the sentence. So see the psychologics level, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's level number 2.
Yes.
So if people don't respect you, then, well, how am I going to lead? Well, I'm saying that once you're a leader, you're expected to engage, but do you see that you're creating this paradox? The very belief that you're not able to be authentic is the very thing that's holding you back from engaging. So I'm pausing, I'm stopping, and then he goes like a level higher, and then he's thinking. So every time you make the fella think, thinking that's the psychologics of the original base subject, the primary event.
Yes.
Are you with me or not?
Yes. Yes.
So then you go up and up until you get to a threshold like, oh my God, I'm actually in my own way. Because that's the threshold, right?
Yes.
So you mean if I want to create trust and fellowship among my staff, I have to go first. Then you get the threshold of the maybe 6 or 7 layers.
Yeah.
It's your psychologics levels. And then he begins to self-reflect and think, now, if I want that now, how do I have to show up differently? You get it?
Yes.
So that's how I do my psychologics. I don't know whether that's
Yeah.
makes sense to you or not.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how the person has, I'll use the word sequence, arranged his way of thinking. So
Yeah.
that's his psychologics. And because of that, is governing his behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So Dr. Amin was right, because to me, the levels are actually meanings and beliefs.
Yes.
It could be values even. I mean, depending on what it is, right? So if you want to have camaraderie, but you're afraid to let yourself be inclusive, you hold yourself to like, I'm the boss and I can't show my feelings, then do you realize that that's the very thing that's prohibiting you from getting what you want? So that's the threshold, like, oh, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
To create the outcome, I have to do different. So that's the threshold.
Yeah, thank you.
Tessie,
Amin. Yeah.
Can I? Yeah, Tessie, listening to you, thanks a lot. And what I do normally, I will unpack that process into two levels. First is the cause and effect, cause leading to effect.
Yes.
I don't want to do this because I'm in power, for example. That effect then go into the meaning, second level. So I unpack into two, cause leading to effect, effect leading to meaning.
Yeah. I don't get the second part. Can you share?
Yeah. The first part is cause leading to effect, right? I do this, you get hurt, for example.
Yeah.
The effect, now the effect, if you see my hand, cause leading to effect, the effect now leading to meaning.
Okay.
That is what, as a coach, I normally listen to. The meaning to you. What does it mean?
Okay.
If I do this, they may not, what is it? They will
Respect
not.
me. Respect me.
Respect me. That is the meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first is cause and effect, then effect to meaning. The second part is what we normally call complex equivalence. So the moment you get the second one is very powerful, which you did in your sentence just now. It's just that I do at two levels. So that's what I was hearing from you.
The client is all unconscious because they don't understand what we're doing. See?
Yes. But what you did is good because I can see you put in one sentence, but I can see this way.
Yeah, you see the two parts.
I saw the two parts just now.
Yeah.
And
I will ask and ask and ask until, to me, I find a threshold. Like the threshold means that they've suddenly stood back and are now able to look at themselves and think like, hey, if I want to do differently, then I have to show up differently to get the result that I want.
Yeah.
The way that I've been doing may not, because they won't admit it, may not be the best way.
Yeah.
But I think your style is good because you put a sentence, but you did not complete it.
Yeah.
If you do this, then, whereas I tend to rush it through sometimes, which is powerful because you pause at that time.
Because it's their thing, right? I don't want to put words in their mouth.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is where
I should do your style.
so this is where, as a coach, when you go slower, you become faster. The reason why they are lost is because they are lumping all of those thoughts into one jar, one level. So when you begin to have that conversation, you feel this because now you are causing them to be able to see the level. So as coaches, we want to notice those levels and bring the notice of the levels to their attention.
Yeah.
So
And
then only they are beginning to see the psychologics.
The clients are quite crafty, Dr. Amin. They will shoot off into strategy. I'm going to do this. No, I want you to feel what it is that you're afraid of feeling, which is the vulnerability. So if you keep them there long enough, then they're going to hit the threshold faster. But if they rush into, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. No, those are strategies. Those are escape mechanisms.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Okay.
True. No, I got to learn because I tend to rush things sometimes.
Yeah.
Knows me probably.
And especially if you as a coach, you are letting your meta program of tasks take
Yeah.
you off.
Because I do consulting, so sometimes I rush things through.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me bring up the final point. The final point is basically as an example that Michael showed us how through our thinking process, we are not aware of the meta states, the meta levels we are creating, and those meta levels are now governing our life. So Michael, in this part of the chapter, he shows how through an example of the boy and his psychologics of a cookie. It's very easy to understand when we look at it this way. It's just that as a coach, if we do not bring our conversations to explore the meta levels, then what's in how the problem that's in front of the client becomes unsolvable for the client because they are operating at the lowest level. They have not explored the higher level. So to conclude this session, let me relate this example of the boy and his psychologics of a cookie. So imagine a small boy, 5, 6 years old. He comes home from school one day with a report card of high marks. It is unexpected, and his mother gets so excited that she jumps up and down, kisses him, and hands him a cookie, saying, "Mommy is so proud of you. You are such a good boy. Even though this is not supper time yet, and this may ruin your supper, however, here are some milk and cookies because you did so good, and I'm so proud of you." So just like any boy would do, happy getting that windfall. It's just that later when he reflects upon it, whether he does it consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't matter, but that self-reflexive process kicks in. He begins to draw some conclusions from that experience. Suppose he reasons it this way. Getting a cookie means I'm a success. I am doing good. It makes people proud of me. I get a reward. I am loved. Life is good. Notice all of those beliefs, equivalences that he has created. Now, fast forward 40 years. The boy is now a man. He is overweight, in fact, obese, and his doctor is trying to save his life by asking him to lose weight. Now, this man, he really tries, but for all his efforts, he finds that he just can't lose weight or resist cookies or other sweets. So what's happening? It's that he has secondary gains in eating. Yeah, because his psychologics has put him into a place whereby resisting cookies means that he is resisting the good life. He is resisting success. He is resisting rewards. He is resisting love. He is resisting the pleasure of others being proud of him. He's resisting relaxation. He's resisting the enjoyment of hard work. So no wonder he finds it so difficult to resist cookies. So these are his internal frames about food and maybe sweets, frames that are probably unconscious and invisible, frames that he really doesn't understand how they have anything to do with his health. And regarding the problem of obesity, so that's why as meta coach, we say that he is not the problem. The frames are the problem. So this is what, as a coach, if we are not exploring the meta levels, we are not able to catch these are the ones that is preventing him from having a healthy life. So these are the frames that is preventing him from resisting those cookies that is causing, as Dr. Amin puts it, the cause and effect, that's causing him to overeat. So that's why in the meta coaching system, we enable a deep conversation by using these two models. The meta states model, following through the meta levels that a person has about something, and also the matrix model. As we are exploring the meta levels, noticing the matrices that they refer to. Is that the state matrix, the meaning matrix, the intention matrix? Is that the self matrix? Is that the power matrix? Is that the other matrix? Is that the time matrix? Or is that the world matrix? Noticing where they are. And in that way, we are able to feed back to the client how those meta states are acting against them. Yeah. So probably that's what I would just like to present to you, just to summarize. When we talk about exploring at deeper level, that example, a simple example of how a person can build meta states that acts against them. So as a coach, when we are aware the meta levels, that's why we want to explore those levels. And in the example Tessie was sharing just now, through that conversation, we are allowing them to see those various levels that now govern their logical way of thinking. Okay, so that is as far as what I have prepared for you this evening. I hope that it has been useful for you. Understanding meta states allow us to go in deeper. Dr. Amin mentioned the tools that we have, the tools of listening, supporting. Those are tools in order to create the environment to allow us to explore. Without that rapport, without that trust, they will be reluctant to go there, because they've never thought of it that way. Nobody's asked them those questions. So when you build that trust, you build that rapport, you're allowing them the ability to go and explore their meta levels, that then they will be aware those are the frames that's preventing them from their greatness, not them. That's why we say people are not the problem, the frames are the problem. And when they are aware of those frames, then they can make that change. So they are the one who's the change agent. We are just the Sarah, the conduit to help them to come to that space. Okay, so we've come almost to the end of the session for this evening. In the chapter, Michael goes into a few other topics. However, with the time that we have, that's where we'll stop the session for this evening. I would like to now open up the discussion to each and every one of you with respect to what it is that your takeaway for this particular session. So if you don't mind me going to each and every one of you and ask of you, what is your takeaway? As usual, I like to start off at the very bottom of my screen. So Chantal, the first honor is yours. So go ahead, Chantal.
Hello, Mazuki, and hi, everyone. Sorry, I came in like halfway. So I didn't manage to take much, but I do appreciate sharings, especially from, I remember Dr. Amin, we've got sharings from Jello, Harvey, and as well as Tessie. So thank you for that. So it kind of gave me a little more inputs as well, on especially dealing with clients. And I think I appreciate on that the remembering to really go in deeper and deeper with them into their subconsciousness, I think, and taking time to go there. So I think that's also a good reminder and takeaway from this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantal. Next, go ahead. Are you able to access your mic, Ko? Yes.
I think, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. From what I understand is in a very layman term is we have to observe people body language and listen to the tone of their voice and feel their emotion to determine what kind of frame they have and talk about talk about what kind of level of topic kind of things you see. I mean, because we have level 1 to level 7 kind of thing. So because even though a very good friend, which is supposed to be level 6, but on that day for that topic, we could be at level 2 kind of things. So that is what. So that is why I think. So even though with a coaching kind of thing, although maybe it's the 3rd session already, but when you come to the 4th session, the level can go back to level 2 or level 1 kind of thing because due to some of that thing. So that's why every time when we want to start a conversation or this kind of thing, we have to see and of course we have to, I mean, as you said, everything starts from the trust and the rapport. Every time we need to observe, and then from there we have to build trust and also, I mean, earn trust and build the rapport for us to go further kind of thing. Just like playing games, you must have enough coins, whatever, to go to the next level kind of thing. This is what I learned from this session.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you need to build the trust all over again every time you meet a client because rapport is in the moment. Yeah. So I'd like to invite Preeti. Go ahead. So what's your takeaway for this session?
Thank you, Marzuki. So for me, takeaway would be the levels of disclosure. This was a learning for me to know that there are 7 levels and how as a coach we can lead our coaches to go to the deeper level by asking them curious questions, which you explain as a part of meta states, like 2 emotions coming into picture, which was also very interesting to know. And also the fact that we should not rush. You mentioned a line which was beautiful, that if we rush, then it gets slower and the opposite, right? So if we go slow, it gets, the coachee quickly goes deeper the level. So that was another learning that we help them lead to the deeper levels to understand what they mean about it. And yeah, it was overall very interesting session, a lot of learning. So thank you so much. And especially others as well, Tessie, Amin, Jello, who all shared their experience. Very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Preeti. Appreciate that. Next, Eva first and then Val. Eva, go ahead. Yes, I can see you now.
Okay, right. One is taking the time to build the rapport and trust. And then the other one is the one about the boy and the cookies. I find the psychological, the example used is quite interesting. Like finding out the frame of the client, why they are behaving a certain way, why there could be a barrier that they are keeping on with repeating some of their patterns.
Thank you. Right. Thank you, Eva. And Val sudah cabut lari ya? Come on, Val. Let me hear your voice.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So what resonated with me today a lot was about building the trust. And how actually when we want the person to trust us, it has to be reciprocated. We also have to trust them. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to mentor you and you'll be very well mentored. But it's also about, trusting that they have the ability to figure out for themselves actually what's going on as well. And so then only I think it can build that way lah.
Right. Wow. Thank you, Val. Great to hear your voice again. Thank you. Next, Harvey, go ahead.
Well, two things for me. One is the disclosure of self that you mentioned earlier, and that's part of the coaching, which I kind of am curious about that as well, on how to balance. And then the second one is of the importance of exploring the meta levels. I have a closure meta program because after you shared about the boy with that problem, I wanted to create a solution right away. I just have to hold myself back, thinking about the ecology, the limiting and empowering beliefs, and then what's prohibited and what's permitted. So I think that's a good way for me to practice EQ, my emotional quotient, to hold back my tendency to fix somebody. uh, and then to see the importance of self-disclosure so that I could empathize with the client. What Tessie would say with executives, which I also do have clients from the CEO level, to be able to feel what they feel, or think what they think, and eventually feel what they feel,
Yeah.
if they are authentic enough or vulnerable enough to open up. So I think that's where the challenge is: disclosure of self, exploring without giving what do you call this, giving advice or some sort like that.
Mm.
Oh, so that's it. So it's kind of I wanted more. So I just have to be satisfied with what I have right now, with your wisdom that you have stored for the future. So I'm looking forward for the future.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate what you said there. Yeah. Dr. Amin, you're next.
Yeah, Mazuki, there are three things. One is I like the 7 levels of communication. And the example from Harvey on the dark sides. And I like the way that they approach the coachee, which is different style from me because I tend to rush. So those are the things that I appreciate tonight, the three things. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Dr. Amin. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Marzuki. Yeah, I have two things as well. I think the first one was there was a great reminder that as a coach, we can also disclose something about ourselves to get the client to go deeper. Because as you explained earlier with the 7 levels, yeah, sometimes there are people who are very, I guess, reserved. They're not used to speaking about feelings, for example, although that's basically just like level 4 or level 3, and some of us are very comfortable with it. But there are also clients who are very like level 3 and 4, like, oh, it's too much. But I think, yeah, I guess to share empathy and also to give a little bit of ourselves as well, like just to open up that bit about ourselves, as something vulnerable about us, and it just humanizes the conversation. And then from there, you know, the client would just feel more relaxed, and then they're able to maybe not dark side right away, but at least the next level down. So yeah, so that was a good reminder. And also the other thing is, of course, listening to Tessie's and Dr. Amin's experience on how they coach. So it's very, yeah, it's good to see it. Okay, this person does it this way. Of course, there's no right or wrong. It's just, it's nice to see, or refreshing to see that this is how you guys do it. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Sarah. Next, Jello, go ahead.
Hello. So thank you for adding another, snippet of, information, knowledge about coaching. It's great to hear perspective of other coaches across the globe. So there are a lot of things that resonates to me today on this session. First is the coaching session that we should do in building rapport and in-depth probing. It starts with the genuineness and being intentional on the coaching sessions that we do. As coaches, we should know that what we are doing is for the sake of our coaches or our clients, and the other things will follow. It's all about how we will manage or match and mirror the energy of our clients. And aside from that, the levels of disclosure is very helpful because we can assess where are we on this level. Are we going deeper, or are we staying on how's the weather today? It sounds cliche. And aside from that, it starts from, building the genuine rapport to deepen the rapport, and it should be anchored on trust and trusting ourselves that we can help that person, and of course managing the environment that this is a safe place and right pacing for them. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angelo. Guat Ching, you're next.
Thank you, Marzuki. The key takeaway is I found that the coaching is taking a lot of time. Sometimes it's one session, you can't solve the problem in one session. You need few sessions. And also as a coach, you need to be very patient to facilitate the client to solve the problems. Like sometimes the clients, they group few problems at one time. So the coach need to be helping them to break down the problem into a small pieces and solve the easiest one by one. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my key takeaway.
Thank you, Guat Ching. Appreciate that. And last but not least, Tessie, go ahead.
Thank you, Marzuki. I love the way you facilitate every session. So every time I take away, that lesson of how you are so present and allowing all of us to, say our piece. So that's a big lesson for me. The other one is, while we say we want to build trust and rapport and safety, I find that what helps me the most is to trust myself, because if I am always questioning, am I going to do this right? Am I going to do this right? And then I tend to lose my presence because I'm, VAKAD, right? I'm rationalizing things. So that takes away my sense of presence when I'm coaching. And when I'm present, I'm able to listen, especially to what they're not saying.
Yes.
Like, so you want to build camaraderie and you feel afraid because, they're not saying why. So I have to pick up what they're not saying and ask about that thing that they're not saying. And that presence comes from trusting myself, which is quite hard. So I'm very grateful for all the classes that you're doing.
Wow. Thank you, Tessie. Really appreciate that. And before we end, I just want to again thank all of you for being here, because in as much as I am the one who is facilitating the discussion, I just want to affirm to all of you that whenever we have a session such as this, I am learning from each and every one of you, from the comments, from the points that you are raising. So I just want to thank you for that. Being as well as a coach, when we are coaching a client, that's why we need to be coachable, because whatever comes from the client is also something that we are learning for ourselves. So it's a two-way relationship that when we coach, we are not the same person after the session as before the session, because whatever that comes from the client is also helping us to develop. So that's why as coaches, we are so passionate about the client's growth, because as the client is growing, so are we. So that's a wonderful relationship to be in. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for being here. Really appreciate your presence this evening. Really appreciate the comments that you have given. And I look forward to seeing all of you. And it will be some time before we meet, because we have to wait a whole year before we meet again. So Happy New Year, everyone. So I'll see you next year. Thank you, everyone.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Marzuki.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.